Hello everyone, welcome to my online classroom. Today we are going to discuss class 9 Eco chapter 1, the story of village Palampur. So now let's start the explanation of this chapter line to line. Here first of all overview is given. Through the overview we can understand what we are going to read in this chapter. This chapter is related to what? So here the line is mentioned, the purpose of the story is to introduce some basic concepts relating to production, and this we do through a story of a hypothetical village called Palampur. So here we are going to read about the main concepts relating to production of one village, that is the Palampur village. Farming is the main activity in Palampur, whereas several other activities such as small scale manufacturing, dairy transport, etc. are carried out on a limited scale. These production activities need various types of resources, natural resources, man-made items, human effort, money, etc. As we read through the story of Palampur, we will learn how various resources combine to produce the desired goods and services in the village. So here in the village Palampur, if we are going to see, so of course the farming is the main activity in Palampur. Most of the people of this village, they involve in the farming activity and their production is coming from the farming activity. And other activities also be here, that is like small scale manufacturing, dairy, transport, etc. And all these activities are carried out on a limited scale. We are getting production through different activities, and the activities which we need, that is various types, they are divided into various types like the natural resources, man-made items, human effort, money, etc. So now we are going to see under the story of village Palampur that what kind of various resources we have and what kind of production we want, or for that production what the desired goods and services is be available in the village Palampur. And in this chapter, under this para, we are going to understand one more thing, that in the village Palampur there are two types of activities, farming activity and the non-farming activity. In the farming activity, of course, the activity which is related to the farming, the agriculture, and the non-farming activity, we are going to read about the activity which is not be related to farming, just like the small scale manufacturing, dairy, transport, etc. So now let's see the next para we have, that is about the village Palampur, that what kind of services and goods will be present there, what kind of facilities the village Palampur have. So Palampur is well connected with neighboring villages and towns. Raiganj, a big village, is 3 kilometers from Palampur, and all-weather road connects the village to Raiganj and further on to the nearest small town of Shahpur. Many kinds of transport are visible on this road, starting from bullock carts, tangas, bogies. And what is the meaning of bogies? Wooden cart drawn by buffaloes, loaded with jaggery, which is in Hindi we say gur, and other commodities to motor vehicles like motorcycles, jeeps, tractors and trucks. So under this para we are going to be understand that Palampur village is well connected with the other neighboring villages and towns, just like the Raiganj and the Shahpur. And the Palampur village is I think it's far away from Raiganj, about 3 kilometers, and all-weather road connects this village to the Raiganj and nearest small town of Shahpur. All-weather roads means metal roads are here, and by this weather, all these roads are being well-made metal roads, and on all the weathers we can use these roads. So for transportation, the roads are very compulsory, it is very important. Many kinds of transport are visible on this road. So in this roads we can see different kind of vehicles like the carts, bullock carts, tangas, bogies, as well as the other vehicles like motorcycles, jeeps, tractors and trucks. So we can understand that the village Palampur have modern and traditional both kind of vehicles. So it shows us that of course that Palampur village is not a very traditional village, but of course it is a developed village. Now let's see the next para, which is we have, this village has about 450 families belonging to several different castes. The 80 upper caste families own the majority of land in the village. Their houses, some of them quite large, are made of brick with cement plastering. The SCs, Dalits, comprise 1/3 of the population and live in one corner of the village, and in much smaller houses, some of which are of mud and straw. Most of the houses have electric connections. Electricity pass all the tube wells in the fields and is used in various types of small business. Palampur has 2 primary schools and 1 high school. There is a primary health center run by the government and 1 private dispensary where the sick are treated. So here the composition we have about the families and what kind of people live in the village Palampur. So here total 450 families belonging to several different castes. So it shows that casteism was be there, and the 80 the composition, the people, the families of these different castes were divided into upper caste families as well as the Dalit caste families. So here total we have 80 upper caste families own the majority of land in the village. So the people those belongs to the upper caste people, they were 80 in number, and they own the majority of land in the village. Their houses were also made by the brick and cement plastering, but in now we are going to see the case of the Dalits, the scheduled caste people. They comprise the whole population, 1/3 part, and they live in one corner of the village, which shows, of course, in the city they were not allowed to live. That's why they have their another corner to live. And there, if we are going to see their houses, so their houses are not like the upper caste people, which is made by the bricks, but here their houses were made by the mud and straw, which we can say they have the kacha houses. Most of the houses have electric connections. Now we are going to see the other kind of facilities which the village Palampur have. That is about the electric connection. If we are going to see the electric connections, so of course village Palampur have the electric connection. Most of the houses they have electric connections are here. But after that also, what is the use of the electricity? Here the farmers they used, by which way? So electricity passed all the tube wells in the fields and is used in various types of small business. To run a small business, of course we required electricity for running any machine, and even in the agriculture for the irrigation we want electricity. So this is also mentioned here. After that we have about the school, the education facility in Palampur. There are 2 primary schools and 1 high school. There is a primary health center run by the government and 1 private dispensary where the sick are treated. So it also shows that Palampur village have 1 primary health center which is running by the government, and 1 private dispensary was there which is run by the private. So and now the questions which we have to remember, which will be come in exam, and underline these all important lines. First of all, Palampur village, the whole description ki what kind of village Palampur and how the Palampur village connected with the other towns, and what kind of vehicles were there, what kind of roads were there, about these how many families were there, and casteism, related to casteism. And after that you have to be write the electric connections, that electricity was there or not. If electricity was there, so what is the use of this electricity there, what kind of education facility is there in the village Palampur, and about the health facility. So in this way, if they are going to ask give the description of village Palampur, so all these lines you have to be mentioned under the heading. You can make your own headings. After that, see the conclusion is be given to what we have read through by this overview and the introduction. So here we have the description above shows that Palampur has fairly well developed system of roads, because well developed system of roads will be present. That's why this village is connected with the other towns or villages. Next we have transportation facility is there. Then third we have electricity, and through the electricity we are able to do irrigation. Schools and health center will also be present. So this is the in a short way they describe that all the points whatever we have read right now. After that we have the next para and of page number 1. This is the last para of this page number 1. The story of Palampur, an imaginary village, will take us through the different types of production activities in the village. In villages across India, farming is the main production activity. Underline this line, it is very important line related to Palampur as well as throughout the India. The other production activities referred to as non-farm activities include small manufacturing, transport, shopkeeping, etc. We shall take a look at both these type of activities after learning a few general things about production. So under this para, we can understand. First of all, the village Palampur is an imaginary village. We very well know NCERT every time whenever they have any chapter, so they are explaining their chapter by giving examples, different examples, and here also by presenting one example of the village Palampur, that is an imaginary village. So by this village, we are going to understand whatever the production unit is present, what kind of work people do in their country, how the income source, by through which way they are earning the income source, that all the content is be given in this chapter eco, and all the chapter of eco are connected to each other. That's why first of all we have started the first chapter, because in the second, third or fourth chapter, of course, some content we are going to get from this first chapter. So that's why more focus or more attention is be required here. In under this para also it is mentioned, not in the village Palampur but throughout the whole country, farming is the main production activity, and we have other activities also which is going to count non-farming activities like the small scale manufacturing, transport, shopkeeping. So again I want to tell you, because question is coming here, explain what do you mean by the farming activity and what do you mean by the non-farm activities, or they can ask differentiate between farming and non-farm activities. So just it is very easy. Farming activities are the things which is related to the farming, the agriculture, the work which is related to the farming or agriculture, that is known as the farming activity. And non-farming activities include like small manufacturing, transport, shopkeeping, which is not related to agriculture. So this is the correct definition and the correct answer of this question. Now we are going to move to the next page. So remember whatever important questions right now I have told to you. Now page number 2. Before of understanding other things, first of all, it is very important to understand our next heading. This is, we have organization of production. For production, whatever we are going to produce and we are going to do any investment. So of course for this we have some requirements. So now let's see what kind of requirements we have. The aim of production is to produce the goods and services that we want. First of all, let's understand what is the aim of production. So underline this line. Whatever we are going to produce, so what its aim? Its aim is to produce the goods and services that we want. There are total 4 requirements for production of goods and services. If you are going to produce any goods, if you are going to produce any services, you are going to give your goods to any other person, you are going to give your services to any other person. For this, first of all, what things are required? So total 4 things are there which is we require. So underline this line, the total 4 requirements are there, and which is coming under the organization of production. For production, there are total 4 requirements. So now one by one we are going to discuss, and remember whatever the important, the highlighted words are be given here, they all are the important words which we have to mark because this is your headings. Now the first requirement which we have, that is land. What we have, that is land and other natural resources such as water, forest, minerals. So here, if you are going to produce anything, if you are going to do any investment, so of course for any investment, first what things you require? You require a piece of land. Suppose you are going to open one shop. For that also you want a piece of land. Suppose you are a farmer, you want to do farming, you want to do agriculture. For that also land is required. Without land, agriculture is not be possible. Same for construction of any building. Of course, you want a piece of land. So our first requirement is land. Such like this, we have other natural resources which is God gifted. So such as like water, forest, minerals, so they all are count as a natural resources. And remember here, I also want to explain you what is the correct meaning of resources. All the things which satisfy the human needs are known as the resources. Second, now come to the second requirement which is be mentioned in the next para. The second requirement is labor. So underline this labor, the second requirement after land which we have and which is coming under the organization of production, that is labor. So now we are going to understand what is labor. People who will do the work. Some production activities require highly educated workers to perform the necessary tasks. Other activities require workers who can do manual work. Each worker is providing the labor necessary for production. So here the second requirement which we have, that is the labor, and how we are getting the labor. Labor, Simple. The people who will do the work, they are coming under the labor category. So here for some production activities, suppose you are going to start your new production unit. So you want highly skilled workers for that. So of course you will appoint educated workers, but it is not for every, it is not going to be applied. This theory is not going to apply everywhere. For other activities also we require workers, like the, for especially for the manual work. So there, if they are not be more educated, so it's going to be work there. So first we have land, and second we have labor, which is the important unit of production. Now let's see the third requirement, which we have, physical capital. Now the third requirement is physical capital, that is the variety of inputs required at every stage during production. So this is important line which you have to mark here, that the third requirement which we have, that is the physical capital. And what is the physical capital? The variety of inputs required at every stage during production. During the production time, whatever things you required again and again. Suppose after buying a piece of land, first of all you have to buy a piece of land. Then of course on the buying the piece of land you have to invest something. For buying tools, machines, and for the construction of buildings you have to pay something, you have to do some input, you have to do some investment, and for giving the salary to the workers, and to buy the raw material for your finished product. So of course for all these things you have to spend money, you have to do some inputs, you have to do some investment. So that is coming under the physical capital. But now we are going to understand if this physical capital is divided into two types, and this is also very important question, organization production question. It is coming in exam for 5 marks, and sometimes only for 1 mark or 3 marks, like differentiate between working capital or fixed capital, or explain all the factors, all the things which is really required for the production of anything. So here now under this third requirement, the physical capital, this physical capital is divided into two parts. Now I am going to explain it, but just like let's see, the fixed capital word is be given the highlighted word, and the second here it is given working capital. Underline this because questions coming by this 1 mark question, that what do you mean by fixed capital and what do you mean by working capital. So now let's understand what it actually means. So fixed capital, first of all understand the word, because I believe that all the meanings are hidden in the words. If you are going to understand the meanings by their words, so it is be helpful to you. Fixed capital, fixed means something is going to be fixed. Only one time you have to be invest. I'm going to focus on the line only one time. So here such things at the time of production, what we have to do, we have to use our money. We can use the term as capital also. So we have to do investment. So what kind of investment you have to do? For how many times? So here for some production unit we have to spend only at one time. How many times? Only one time. Suppose take the example of which the lines are mentioned here. The lines which is mentioned here, that is tools, machines, buildings. For these things we have to spend our money only one time. So that is the capital which we are going to invest only one time, that is coming under the fixed capital. So now just clear this topic by reading whatever lines are mentioned here. Tools and machines range from very simple to tools such as the farmer's plow to sophisticated machines such as generators, turbines, computers, etc. Tools, machines, buildings can be used in production over many years and are called fixed capital. So it just in simple words, and you can write here also in your book if you have the book. So just at only one time when we have to spend any capital on purchasing anything like tools, machine and buildings, so that capital is known as a fixed capital. Suppose if you are going to buy a piece of land, so only one time you have to buy. You have to not buy that piece of land again and again. You have to invest your money at only one time. So in this way, that amount which you are going to spend to buy a piece of land, that is going to call fixed capital. For same, if you are going to buy any tools and machines, so only one time you have to spend your money. For same for the buildings, if you are going to construct any building, only one time you have to spend your money. So one time. So it means that we are giving our more attention on the one time. So whenever you are going to spend your money on anything at only one time, it is known as fixed capital. That things are coming under the fixed capital. After that we have the second heading, the second term which is the coming under the physical capital. After the fixed capital, the B heading, we have working capital. So what do you mean by the working capital? See, we are not going to read, but we can understand. Fixed means only one time, and working capital means again and again when we have to spend money on the things to like to purchase raw materials and to give money to the laborers, to the workers as a salary. So of course that money, that capital which we are going to invest or spend, that is known as the working capital. So what the thing we have to remember here, under the fixed capital only one time and under the working capital again and again. So now let's complete the reading portion. Raw materials and money in hand. So these are the examples. Whatever the first line it is mentioned like tools, machines and buildings, they are the examples of fixed capital, and raw materials and money in hand are the example of the working capital. Now let's see. Production requires a variety of raw materials such as the yarn used by the weaver and the clay used by the potter. Also, some money is always required during production to make payments and buy other necessary items. Raw materials and money in hand are called working capital. Unlike tools, machines and buildings, these are used up in production. So here it is clearly mentioned that for doing any production, of course we want raw material and we want labor. Suppose if I have started any company of biscuit manufacturing, for biscuit, what kind of raw material I have to be, there's a need of raw material. So what kind of raw materials are be required here for manufacturing of biscuits? So here I want milk, I want sugar, I want wheat. So of course again and again I have to spend my money to buy this raw materials, because according to the market the prices are not be fixed. Every time the prices of these raw materials are be changing day by day. So sometimes I have to pay less, sometimes I have to pay more. So again and again I have to invest, again and again I have to spend my money. So that money which I am spending on the raw material, that is coming under the working capital. Same for money in hands. Money in hands means to workers also, those who are working in my factory, of course I have to pay them, I have to give their salary. So what do you think? If whatever salary I had paid them before of 10 years, same I have to pay right now also? No. According to the market, the prices are rising. So of course I have to pay the amount to my workers according to the market price. So again and again the prices are being changed. So that amount, whatever I am going to spend on the raw materials, on the money which I am going to give to the labor, so that is coming under my working capital. After that, see, a part of this we have, there is a fourth requirement too, after the land, labor, physical capital, which is divided into two parts, fixed capital and working capital. We have the last fourth requirement too, that is, now see what is that? This is the human capital. Today right now we use this term human capital. You will need knowledge and enterprise to be able to put together land, labor and physical capital and produce an output either to use yourself or to sell in the market. This these days is called human capital. So the fourth requirement which we have, that is the knowledge for everything. If you are going to put all these things together in a correct order to produce something like land, labor and physical capital. So for this purpose, first of all, you want knowledge. For how? So how do we are going to get this knowledge? We are going to get this knowledge through the human. So now these days it is called human capital. Until the human will not work, we are not able to get anything from the land and from the physical capital. So if you want any output, of course human skill is the important. Now labor is very important. Till the human will not do any work, we are not able to get anything from the land. Now let's see, every production is organized. Wait. So human capital, we shall learn more about human capital in the next chapter, because I said right now to you that all the chapters of this eco book and other in social science book of class 10, all the chapters are connected to each other. So first of all we have to understand first chapter and the second, so because some content is being given, so that's why it is very important to understand each and every point, and it is also going to helpful to you in class 10. In the picture, identify the land, labor and fixed capital used in production. It is a kind of activity. After that we have next para. Every production is organized by combining land, labor, physical capital and human capital. So underline this line here. You are getting all 4 requirements, which is the important. Until we are not going to apply all this land, labor, physical capital and human capital, we are not able to get any production. So it is very important to use all these things in a combined way together, like land, labor, physical capital and human capital, which are known as factors of production. Yes, in this way the question will be coming exam for 5 marks or for 3 marks. That write down the main factors of production. So that time you have to mention land, labor, physical capital, which is 2 types, fixed capital and working capital. And fourth we have human capital. And human capital, under that you can write human skills are very important, knowledge, education, quality to know how to do work. So in this way we can know what is the importance. Now as we read through the story of Palampur, we will learn more about the first 3 factors of production. For convenience, we will refer to the physical capital as the capital in this chapter. Now one by one, through the story of village Palampur, we are going to understand all these headings like land, labor, capital. And here the physical capital, for convenience purpose, we are going to use this physical capital as the capital. In place of physical capital, we will get the heading in capital, but the content is same, the meaning is the same. Now see, we have first of all the introduction of the land. That now because first requirement of the factor of production we have land. So first of all we are going to read about the land. In Palampur village, the main activity is farming. So of course for farming land is required. So let's see what kind of land we have there. First heading we have land is fixed. What kind of land we have there? Land is fixed. So how the land is the fixed there? So let's see. Farming is the main production activity in Palampur. 75% of the people who are working are dependent on farming for their livelihood. They could be farmers or farm laborers. The well-being of these people is closely related to production on the farms. But remember that there is a basic constraint in raising farm production. Land area under cultivation is practically fixed. Since 1960 in Palampur, there has been no expansion in land area under cultivation. So let's see what it means here. Of course, in Palampur village, the main activity which we have here, that is the farming activity. And here most of the people, those who are working, and they dependent on which activity for their livelihood, they were totally dependent on the farming activity. So underline this line because one more question is coming, that which activity in Palampur is the main production activity. That is, the answer is village. In Palampur village, farming is the main production activity. Here 75% of the people, they are dependent on farming for their livelihood. After that, of course, the farmers, they could be farmers or the farm laborers who were working on the farms of the big or rich farmers. After that we have that, let's see what kind of composition of the village Palampur, which is becoming according to the land cultivation. By then some of the wastelands in the village had been converted to cultivable land. Before of the 1960, most of the land were uncultivated because of it was not be fertile. But after that, it was tried that most of the land is be converted into a fertile land so that it can be used for cultivation. Now, there exists no further scope to increase farm production by bringing new land under cultivation. Here also it is mentioned the standard unit of measuring land is hectare. Of course, we are using different kind of measurement for measurement, like suppose your house and any piece of land you are going to buy. So of course at least we have to know what is the correct measurement of that piece of land. So here for measuring the land we use hectare, and so in the villages you may find land area being discussed in local units such as Bigha, Gunta, etc. So according to the area wise we have used the different terms, meaning is the same, but in local languages the words are use that is be different. Like here, the standard unit of measuring land which we use, that is hectare, and somewhere it is known as by the name of biga, and somewhere we know by the name of the grinta. So it is the standard units of the measuring land. Question is coming sometime, what do you mean by the standard unit of measuring land, and what do you mean by hectare, what do you mean by biga, explain ginta. So in this way you have to write these are the standard units of measuring land, and what is the correct measurement. It is be given 1 hectare equals the area of a square with one side measuring 100 meters. Now after that, if one work is be given as a kind of activity, can you compare the area of a 1 hectare field with the area of your school ground. Next we have the next after that, the measuring units, we have larger areas of land more effectively. Sorry, next heading we have, is there a way one can grow more from the same land? So this heading we are going to be discussed in our next video. Thank you everyone.